Hello, today I wanted to make a video about the most common mistakes that people that have never invested in gold and silver assets make over the course of their investment decision making. And one thing I want to get into before I even delve into this topic is the psychology of why people out there that have never bought an ounce of gold or an ounce of physical silver or that have never bought a mining stock before in their lives continue to make this mistake. And it has to do with the psychological realm of people sticking to what they know. I'm sure we've all heard this before, that people are much more comfortable with the familiar and they reject the new. So rather than taking the time to understand something new that just may help someone out, most people would just reject what is unfamiliar to them without even taking the time to understand it and fool themselves into thinking they understand it because some so-called expert or authority above them told them that this is the way things are in the gold and silver markets, but that person actually never took the time to investigate, to educate themselves, and to learn about this new topic for themselves. They just accept something by an appointed expert or authority figure out there and internalize someone else's beliefs, someone else's opinions that often are disseminated, purposely disseminated disinformation and propaganda as the truth. Now, there's a study in a psychological journal, or psychology journal, not too long ago, that stated that people are getting dumber because of the lack of use of the brain. So it's just like, those of us that work out fairly regularly, we know that if we put in the time and the effort and the sweat equity in the gym, that you will begin to see a transformation in your body. But people don't think, because the brain is housed inside your skull and you can't see it, that if you over time, if you never use your brain, they don't think that you will lose the ability to critically analyze situations and think for your own. But I actually believe that you do, that over time, by not using your brain, and we all know that institutional academics, I don't care if you went to Harvard, Yale, Oxford, or any of those so-called elite schools, because none of those elite schools teach you how to critically think, as is the situation with all institutional academia. It doesn't teach anyone to critically think anymore. So we all suffer, all of us that have gone through the institutional academia system. I don't care if it's junior college, if it's JUCO, or if it's a four-year college, or if it's an elite college, or so-called elite college. None of them teach critical thinking skills on a regular basis. I mean, you might have one class here or there that teaches where a professor is outstanding, but certainly overall, you don't get that experience, so you're suffering from not using your brain over time. So, there was a philosopher that said, what was his name? It was a German philosopher, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who said, there are none more hopelessly enslaved than those that falsely believe they are free. And I highly believe that sentiment, because in the course of discussing gold and silver with a lot of people, even people that have been in the financial industry for 10 years or longer, or 20 years or longer, I've come across these arguments where people say, you're crazy for saying silver's cheap at $32. You're crazy for saying, or $33 now, or you're crazy for saying that gold is still cheap at $1,700 an ounce. What are you talking about? Like Goldman Sachs just said to sell all your gold because it's in a bubble, or this commentator, this expert said sell all your gold, sell all your silver because it's in a bubble. And then when I ask these people, and again, mind you, some of these have been in the financial industry their entire lives, their entire careers, and they're saying this. And I say, well, why do you think it's expensive? Because they said, well, it was like $1,000 as far as gold. Now it's $1,700. Silver was like at 26, and now it's 33. So it has to be. It's expensive. And I said, no, you're confusing the terms of relative price, relatively speaking, to a year ago or 6 months ago. Sure, gold and silver are much higher now than they were, but it does not mean that it is expensive. I said, when you think about the definition of expensive, it's in terms of valuation as far as where it can go. So I said, how do you think the price is set today? And I've discussed this point before, so I'm not going to discuss it that much in depth. But they don't know. They don't know what sets the price of gold and silver, but yet they insist that it is super expensive today. So that just shows you that they are part of the walking dead, or they're the part of those that are hopelessly enslaved because they believe themselves to be free, but it's a false belief based upon an illusion and not reality. So whether we recognize this or not, we have been conditioned to accept anything that someone in a position of authority tells us is true, and even those not in a position of authority, we hardly critically analyze or require any evidence or proof that what people say is true. So we're just conditioned not to use our brains. But, as if a homeless person on the street said that they had been abducted by aliens, they're much more likely to be dismissed than, say, if the Prime Minister of the UK, David Cameron, came out tomorrow and was reported that he reported that he was abducted by aliens. Immediately, I'm guarantee you this news story would spread like wildfire, even if it was totally fictional. And many, like a good percentage of people out there would actually believe that story if someone in a position of authority came out and said that that was the case. Okay, so all I'm saying is that I would urge you, if you have not been an advocate of physical gold and physical silver, to just open your mind for a second and just think about what I'm saying. Investigate it for yourself. I'm not saying accept what I say at face value. Go investigate it for yourself. Do your research and then come to your own decision. But most importantly, just use your brain. Don't let it go to waste, and think for yourself rather than letting someone else tell you what to think. Okay, so the first myth that exists with that a lot of people that discount gold and silver, that they internalize, is the fact that gold bulls, which is not the same thing as a perma bull, so people like myself that have been advocating gold and silver for 6 years, 7 years now, or even longer. Obviously, there are those that have been advocating gold and silver longer than myself, for a decade or so. The gold and silver have been in bull for about 12 years now. Believe that we're always perma bull, saying that every time is the best time to buy, which simply is not true. Because if you look at our cumulative returns of those that have been advocating gold and silver, for example, for my investment newsletter, which we launched in June 15th of 2007, cumulative yield until the end of October 2012 has been more than 200%, about 200% to 220% higher than the global stock market indexes in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia. So that could not be possible. And then I think we're about 165% higher on the yield than even the Philadelphia Gold and Silver index as well. So we can't do that by being perma bulls, by saying buy all the time. We understand the volatility, so we are at times in and out of the market. So that is just a misnomer that the banking cartel that hates gold and silver, or actually, I shouldn't even say hate, because that's kind of a wrong term to use. They just don't want you to invest in gold and silver, but they'll buy it for themselves. They'll buy it for their proprietary accounts. They'll buy it for their families, but they'll tell you not to buy it. So these guys, they don't want you to buy it, but they'll be buying it for themselves. So they will always go out and try to slander those of us that advocate it because we're trying to help you out. So these people will then say, oh, these people are just selling their book, which is crazy because I'm a huge advocate, always have been, of physical gold and silver. And if you have bought in at the time I started advocating, which you can go back and check my track record because a lot of it is public on my blog at www.theundergroundinvestor.com, although I'm giving actually much more specific buy and sell information to my clients. So my clients are obviously going to do a lot better than those that just read the free information and the general information I post on my blog. But in any event, you can see that This goes back all the way to 2006 that I've been advocating buying physical silver and physical gold. And like I said, these people say, oh, you're just selling your book. But I am not a bullion dealer. I do not sell any physical gold and physical silver, nor do I even receive any commissions whatsoever. I don't receive a single penny from any gold bullion dealer, any silver bullion dealer out there. So there's no reason for me to tell anyone out there to buy physical gold, physical silver, because I'm not selling my book at all, because that doesn't include any profitability on my end. So again, that's a lie that a lot of these bankers will tell you is the reason we're doing this. The reason all I'm selling out there is freedom. Okay, because if you buy physical gold and physical silver, that is the key to freeing yourself from enslavement by the bogus fiat currency global banking system, which is responsible for a lot of the socioeconomic ills that are going on today, like high rates of unemployment everywhere, the youth unemployment rate, those 25 years of age or under, in Italy and in Greece is just ludicrous. It's like, or it could be Portugal and Greece, I'm not sure, but Greece, either Greece and Portugal or Greece and Italy, is over 55% right now. If you understood the contributions of the bogus Ponzi fiat currency system, then you would understand why that the unemployment rates are so high in these countries. So again, you have a lot of propaganda, a lot of misinformation out there. So just be aware of that. The other tactic that bankers use to scare a lot of people away from buying gold and silver, physical silver, and gold and silver mining stocks is the volatility. So a lot of people don't understand that the volatility is engineered by the banking cartel, because they, again, just like they tell me gold and silver prices are too high, they don't understand that the prices are set in a bogus, fake, derivatives paper market, and is not set by the physical demand and physical supply determinants, which it should be. So we have no idea what the free market prices of gold and silver are today, except that they are a lot lower than what they would be if they weren't artificially suppressed in a bogus paper market by bankers. And as well with the stocks, a lot of people don't understand. So, you know, when we say, or people like myself that understand what to look at when we're looking at the data, the intraday data that's provided by certain companies out there like Nanex, and you can see how bankers are rigging the market with their high frequency trading or HFT trading algorithms, and that's been proven in the general stock markets like the S&P 500. You can actually see some of that same action happening. That is basically contradictory to how anyone that would be selling for a profit would behave. So you know it's rigged, you know it's engineered if you know what to look for. But a lot of these people don't understand the mechanisms, they don't know what to look for, so they're kind of freaked out by the volatility, when you should understand that the volatility is just a short-term thing when all the fundamentals are still in place to drive prices higher, and that the volatility is always engineered on a short-term basis just to allow these corrupt, unethical, criminal bankers to either buy more gold and more silver at low prices for their own proprietary accounts again, or for themselves, or to do the same with the mining stock. So people have to understand what the mechanisms are before they can be freaked out by the volatility, because bankers will always tell you, have always told you, gold and silver are risky assets because they're volatile, which is a bunch of rubbish. It's the biggest rubbish I've ever heard of, because if you look at gold in this bull market, it's been up for, I believe it's 12 straight years. So how can you say it's a risky asset? That is total rubbish, total nonsense, just like Goldman Sachs, came out and said that told all their clients they should be selling gold. Now it's the biggest bunch of rubbish ever. So again, don't internalize, don't accept what people or so-called people in positions of authority tell you. Rather, do your own research and make your own conclusions. Now, here's the irony and the beauty of this whole thing. Because I personally do not believe in diversification. I think diversification is a cop-out for the people that have been hired by the commercial investment industry that have no clue what they're doing because they just diversify into everything because they have no idea what's going to go up, what's going to go down. They have no understanding of macroeconomics. They have no understanding of the big picture whatsoever. So they just put you in everything. And then they make the excuse like, oh, you should have like a balanced diet. You need some carbs, you need some protein, you need some fat. And that's just what like your investment portfolio is like because you need all these ingredients we don't know. Some are going to be harmful to you, but we don't know. Maybe next year they'll be good for you. And that's total bunch of rubbish again. But if you believe that, if you don't believe anything I'm saying, then I could use that argument still to get you into gold and silver because right now, well, as of 2011, so I haven't seen the updated data. I don't know if it's out yet for 2012, but I believe the last time it came out about a year ago, they said 1% of all investable assets in the entire world are invested in gold and silver. Only 1%. And then in the United States, it's even less. It's 0.1%. So obviously, the masses of people are not invested in gold and silver. So if you're thinking you should diversify, then you should at least be getting into gold and silver because the likelihood is that most of you watching this video do not own a single ounce of physical gold and physical silver. Or if you pass this video on, maybe a lot of you are actually avid gold and silver investors already, and that's why you're watching me, but you can pass this video on to other people that you care about because this Christmas or this Hanukkah or whatever holiday you celebrate, maybe you can give someone a couple ounces or several ounces of silver, an ounce of gold instead of a gift because that is the gift that will keep on giving because it will keep on appreciating next year and going up and it will help people to understand the value of gold and silver. So certainly, again, if you think about only 1% of all global investable assets are in gold or silver, that is something you should diversify into then. So if you don't buy into even if you do buy into what I'm saying, then you probably already own physical gold, physical silver, mining stocks, and just continue buying on dips and adding to and keep stacking the physical gold and physical silver. But if you don't believe and you still think diversification is a good strategy, although I think it's a horrible strategy, then you should still think it's wise to diversify out into gold and silver. So either way you look at it, it is wise to own gold and silver assets today. And finally, what about those analysts out there that are always saying that's ridiculous, there's no manipulation in gold and silver, and that all of us that claim there is don't know what we're talking about? Well, the evidence is like overwhelming already because you can just go to www.gata.org. They provided lots of documentations direct from the horse's mouth. So these are minutes of central bank meetings where they talk about gold swaps, where they talk about gold, leasing gold, and controlling the price that way. There's testimony from former Federal Reserve chairman that said they would do whatever's necessary in front of Congress to suppress the prices of gold. So all that information is out there already. So all you got to do is basically look at these people's track records because a lot of times these people have said gold will crash, silver will crash, and it never does. So if they make outlandish calls and they're right every once in a while, this is what they harp on. Hey, look at this, we're right this time and this time. But look at their calls if they're saying that gold and so there's no manipulation of gold and silver. And you'll find that there's a lot of erroneous calls that they've made in the past. So that's the last point I want to make is that the people that say there is no gold and silver manipulation and that all those that say there are just crazy. All you have to do is look at their track record. It's easy to disprove them. You can go look at my track record or any person that is similar to me that have been saying that gold and silver are manipulated, have been providing proof of this manipulation, at least very strong circumstantial proof as well as documented proof from central banks. Go check our track records and you'll see that our track records are very, very strong, whereas the track records of those that claim there's no manipulation have been very weak at best. So that's it for now, and thanks for watching again. If you doubt what I'm saying in this video, please take the time to do your own research. I never want anyone to take my word. So don't take my word. Go investigate the things the topics I've talked about here. Do your own research. Check it out for yourself and draw your own conclusions. And that's the smartest thing to do all the time, every time. Okay, thanks for watching. Take care. So long.